Well, good afternoon, good evening. Crikey, it's a good start to the Wednesday. Melbourne's in lockdown, and I don't even know what time of the day it is. So, welcome to a very, very special day. It is Doing Sport Differently Wednesday. I'm Steve Pallas. If you're just joining us for the first of these five series where we showcase clubs doing sport differently, and today I'm really, really pleased, really excited to introduce Miranda Wilson from the Leongatha Gymnastics Club. Miranda, welcome to Doing Sport Differently Wednesday on Sports Community.
Hi, everybody.
Miranda, Leongatha Gymnastics Clubs, you wanted to create a program for a different audience than you were traditionally going with, and so you created a program for an all abilities program. Do you want to just give us a little bit of the background to that, and how did it come about?
Yeah, so we've been running a program for probably 5 years now. We started with some classes for our local specialist school. So our ex-president, her daughter actually went to the specialist school, and they were just begging for something to happen during school hours. So we got in contact with them and just started doing the classes with them. And from there, we've sort of grown. We're now up to 7 classes a week with the school. And then we've got our own classes after school that cater to not just the kids from the specialist school, but from mainstream schools as well. And it's been really exciting to be involved with.
So was it literally a kind of almost a cold call to the school to say, hey, we've got a couple of kids that would like to go down a gymnastics path, and what was the reaction when you rang the school?
Yeah, so it pretty much was, we just went down and just set a meeting with the school and said, look, we've got this idea. Do you guys want to come on board? And they were really keen. I think we started with 4 kids just as a bit of a pilot program. And they had such a great time, and the school actually started to see the benefit of it. And we've just expanded and exploded from there.
Wow. Okay, so with an all abilities program, what type of challenges have the kids got when they come in? So what are their disabilities that you're creating participation options for?
Yep. So a lot of the kids have intellectual disabilities. We do have a few with physical disabilities, but it's mainly the intellectual kids that we're working with. So we just have to modify the environment a little bit to make them feel more comfortable.
So in what sort of modifications did you had to change your gym and your program? What was that modification?
So some of them are really simple things, like we make sure we don't have music playing in the background because some of the kids don't like it. We also try and schedule the classes when there's less people in the gym, because that can be a bit overwhelming if it's a really busy night. Sometimes we remove some of the equipment that can be a bit distracting, and we modify what we need to make it easier for them.
So how did you pick up these changes? Did that come about through research or working with the school to create the program? How did that program, the nuts and bolts of the program design, kind of come about?
A little bit of both. It's sort of getting to know the kids and what works for them, and that can be the challenge and time consuming, but it's definitely worth it. So you find something that will work for one group of the kids won't work for the other. So you've really just got to be able to think on your toes and modify as much as you can and when needed.
And so what are some characteristics of the changes? You mentioned less noise and less movement and less distraction, but what are some of the characteristics of the changes that you've introduced, and particularly that you've learned as you've been working with the kids over a longer period of time?
It's definitely that no 2 classes are the same.
Yeah.
So we've just got to be willing to make things work and change sort of everything. And it's come down a lot to the coaches' training and making sure that they understand what's needed for these guys.
So yeah, I was going to come to that, the coaches' training, because one of the things that's come out of the research that Vic Health and La Trobe Uni have done is that the deliverer of the program, whether that's the coach or whatever the title is the key person in the success of the program and the experience of the participants. So how did you either train your coaches or support your coaches on that journey to working with a new group of participants?
So we've done a few outside courses that Gymnastics Australia and Victoria have run, but a lot of it's come down to just having an experienced coach then pass on their knowledge to the other ones, and just making sure that we do use our senior coaches, because it can be a bit daunting for some of our juniors and they don't have the strong personality you need to. You've got to be able to set those boundaries and keep the class under control.
So that's interesting, isn't it, that there does need to be a fluid environment with a kind of strong structure as well. So that's one of the learnings that I took out of our discussions early. Is that the right interpretation of that?
Yeah, definitely. The coach has to have a very strong personality.
But you do mentor. You're linking your junior coaches up with the program to give them that exposure and that experience. How has that been for the junior coaches? How have they responded to the new style of coaching, which would be different to what they would normally be used to in their in the initial classes that they were starting in?
Yeah, they've been really good. So essentially, as our junior coaches in these classes, they are just there to sort of assist, but it's a great learning experience for them as well. And we've noticed that they're actually growing as coaches and using some of the techniques that we're using in these classes back in their normal classes as well. It's been really good for them to learn and develop.
Cool. So if we kind of look at the benefits of the program, like if we look at the logistics just for a tick before jumping into the benefits, so how long is the program running for, like on an individual class level?
So our classes that we run with the school, they can be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, just depending how the day's going. And our after-school classes are always an hour.
Oh, okay. And so is there a typical format of, warm up, exercise, warm down, or excuse my ignorance in gymnastics?
Yeah, so we always do a bit of a warm-up, whether it's a game or whatever, and some stretching, and then we have some structured activities on the apparatus. So we normally try and get 2 or 3 apparatus done each night. And then at the end, depending on how the kids are going in, whether it's during the classes or after school, we do sometimes have a bit of free time. So we give them a select area they can be in, then they can sort of explore the way they want to as well. And then we do a bit of a cool down at the end before it's time to go home.
Yeah, cool. And the activities that you're doing, are they modified activities, or are they the same types of activities that you would be running in your normal, not all normal, but in your say after hours classes as well?
Some things we modify, but a lot of the stuff is the same, but it might be the delivery of it that's different. So some of our after school classes, we turn it more into an adventure. So even though we're just walking along our beams, for example, we might be walking through a jungle and stepping over some rocks, just things like that really gets them engaged, a bit more creative with the playing and the words and stuff, and they absolutely love it.
Well, that brings it to another one of the, and we'll look at the six kind of principles in the Vic Health framework in just a moment as we wrap up the discussion. But one of the key principles is looking at it through the eyes of the participant. And so what do they love? So how have the kids reacted to the ability to have a gymnastics class first and foremost?
Oh, they absolutely love it. They all look forward to coming in each week and they're so excited. It's just great to see.
Yeah. And what are they like in that free time period space in the session? What do they go and do? What do they like to do? Is it the same every week, or do they just different, or in their preferences like my girls are?
They absolutely love the trampolines.
Yeah, that's
they
why
cannot get enough. Yeah, and they love swinging as well. But I think that's just most kids. They love trampolines and swinging, so they're always the really popular activities at the end.
Is the free time at the end a looked forward to part of the session for the kids?
Yeah, so we use it as a reward, especially for the schools classes. So if they've done all our activities we've asked and they're having a really good day and things are going well and they've been safe, then that's when we use it as a reward at the end, which is good.
Oh, fantastic. So go back to when the kids just first potentially even walk into the gym for the first time, how are they feeling? Are they apprehensive? Are they excited? Are they scared? What's the experiences or their feelings when they're just coming in for the first time?
Yeah, obviously can be different per kid. A lot of it can be a little overwhelming because we are such a big, bright environment and they haven't been there. And we just work with each kid just to make sure that they're comfortable and they get to know the equipment, even if that means that we have to walk around and just show them what everything is for starters. And some of them are happy just to slot straight into the warm-up. Others just want to watch for a bit. We just sort of play it by ear as to what each kid needs.
So how big are the classes and how many teachers and assistant teachers have you got for each of the classes to support the kids?
So the groups that come up from the specialist school, they come up with either 2 or 3 support staff, and then we have 2 coaches in here as well. And there can be up to 12 kids that come, and we normally split them into 2 groups of 6 and sort of work in different parts of the gym.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be uncommon to have some kids on the sides just watching what's going on and kind of just taking it really, really slowly.
Yeah. We have a lot of kids that like to just watch for the first few weeks, and then once I see everyone else having fun, they normally jump in pretty quick.
During the sessions, do you have that scenario where the kids kind of go, I might feel like I need a little bit of a break and kind of give themselves a bit of a break during the session, or are they normally just full on straight through the session?
Yeah, we do have some that just like to have that break, and we do have a rest area, which is just our seating area where they can go have a bit of a sit, chill out, have a drink if they need to, and then when they're ready, they come back and join in.
They come back. Cool. So unquestionably the kids love it. What about the teachers? How did they react to the program? Does it make it easier for them back in the classroom or harder?
Yeah, I think they enjoy it because the kids get to come and get rid of some energy before they have to go back and concentrate in the classroom, which is really good. And even the teachers have noticed the difference that some of the kids have made in skill-wise and even listening.
Yeah. Well, what about the parents? How have the parents reacted to the program?
The parents absolutely love it. Unfortunately, in our area, there's not a huge amount of activities, like all ability activities. We are one of the few. And as we're starting to head back into term 3 and actually back into classes, our all abilities class is one of the only ones that is filled up fully. We're still trying to get our other classes organised, but our all abilities is actually filled up really quick.
Oh, and I think that leads beautifully into I guess a real key theme is often clubs, regardless of what the new audience or the new group they're trying to attract, often clubs don't see the benefit of looking outside where they traditionally offer, where they traditionally recruit from. So what has been the benefit for your club of creating an all abilities program and linking in with the school?
Yeah, we definitely want to be more inclusive. Gymnastics can be very single-mindedly sometimes, and we just wanted to sort of think outside the box and just see how else we could diversify our clientele. And it's definitely helped with that, and I love it. And it's just nice to see the kids have fun.
Yeah. Are they starting to come into the programs like the presentations and the presentation nights and the demonstrations and other club activities, or just more staying into the all abilities program at this stage?
Again, it depends on the kids. So some of them are happy to come and do our presentation night stuff. Some of them it's a bit overwhelming, but we always try and encourage them to at least come and watch, even if they're not willing to participate, so they can still be part of it.
Yeah, cool. So I think it's a very pertinent point when we're looking at benefits that with the uncertainty around in the world, as you're saying, you're just about to open up for term 3 and it's your all abilities classes that were the first full, and I think that just shows that there's a real need and demand for participation options for people with disabilities and varying degrees of ability. That's your experience?
Yeah, definitely.
So would you be encouraging other clubs to go down the same path and try and create all abilities options and link in with the the local schools and programs and become a normal, or not a normal, an ongoing part of just the options that club would offer? Is that something you would recommend, or?
I would definitely. I know there's a lot of other clubs in Victoria definitely that are already doing great programs, but I think a lot more could get on board. It can be challenging and daunting to get started, but it is so rewarding once you do.
You mentioned Gymnastics Victoria and Australia had programs and training courses. Did you get any other support from the peak body? Because often they have different supports that can help us introduce new programs into clubs.
Yeah, they've been great over the years. They've given us resources and stuff, but we've found a lot of the stuff has just been easier to create in-house because we know our kids, we know our program, and we know what we need.
So it's time with the kids is a really important part of the development then of the program. And
definitely, yeah, you've got to get to know the kids and use what works with them.
Yeah, cool. So if you were giving, say, a couple of tips to clubs that are looking to go down this path with the benefit of your years of experience now, what would be the tips that you could give them as they're thinking about an all abilities program?
Definitely go make contact with local either specialist schools or community groups that are involved with disability support. Open those communications because that's the easiest way to get people involved. And the other thing is if you know a club that's nearby that's running a program, go talk to their coaches, see what they've learnt, see what's working for them and just gain that experience.
Fantastic. And yeah, don't reinvent the wheel and make it hard. That's a great advice. If I can just bring up a graphic, which makes us sound a little bit more official than we are. Let me just bring this one up. Oops, let me put it there. So if we just, in summarising, Miranda, if we look at the framework that Vic Health and La Trobe Uni have created for helping clubs and helping sports doing sports differently, principle one, engage with the target market. Well, you, as you said, you went and linked in with the school who've got they've got the children, and they've also got the expertise about helping and supporting and empowering those kids. So that was a vital step for you and Leongatha Gymnastics Club.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And then thinking of principle number two, thinking about it through their eyes is really, really important. And most of us wouldn't even think about the fact that just walking into a gymnasium could be daunting, could be challenging, but that looking at it through their eyes is a really important part of the whole thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You've just got to understand that it can be scary and you just got to think about how to make it more welcoming.
Yeah, and then as you were saying, catering for the different skill levels. So principle number three, and some kids were ready to bounce into it, where others were really hesitant and needed to be walked around and supported. And so your program's kind of, the reason it works is because it's consistent with the needs of the community at the moment. And then principle number four, as you've said, is clearly the deliverer is just the most critical person in the whole thing. Is that how it's worked out with your program?
Yeah, definitely. If we didn't have our amazing coaches working with these classes, they just wouldn't be what they are.
And for the kids coming in as the assistant coaches, has it been a beneficial experience for them as a coach and as a person?
Yeah, I definitely think they've learned a lot. They're definitely learning how to be more inclusive and how to think outside the box, because gymnastics can be very much this is the one way you do things,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have to be.
No, and in this environment, it really can't be. You almost need to be reacting to the kids and their needs on that time and that day, which is fantastic. And then the pathway. So is there a development pathway? Are you taking the kids on a journey, a developmental journey, or is it more just a recreation for that point in time? Or
We've sort of done a bit of both over the years. At the moment, we're more focusing on just the recreational side of it. But for like over the years with the school, we have actually taught the kids some routines, and we actually took them down to compete in Melbourne against some other schools in the inter-schools competition, which was really exciting for the kids.
Yeah, wow. Wow, that's a big step for the kids too, I'd suggest.
Yeah,
Miranda, you're amazingly generous with your time. I thank you so much. I've had a couple of conversations with you now, and I've found the discussions inspirational and really empowering. And so I thank you so much for your time and your willingness to share your experiences with us today.
no worries. It was nice to be here.
Oh, fantastic! And you were the first off in the five-part series that we're doing over the next 5 weeks with doing sport differently. And we really thank Vic Health not only for making these live streams where we get to tell the story possible, but creating the active club grants that allow clubs like yours and Leongatha Gymnastics Club to be able to fund these new programs and then build them into the way clubs going forward. So Vic Health, thank you very much. Next week, next Wednesday, we've got Chris Wall from the Frankston Stingrays Hockey Club, and Chris will talk about modified programs for people that have never participated in hockey, and also those that are coming back into hockey, modified equipment, very, very social, and great outcomes for the Frankston Stingrays Hockey Club. If you want to get more information on doing sport differently, just go to the website, www.doingsportdifferently.com.au. Miranda, thank you so much for your time today. It has been sensational listening to you and your wonderful story.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. And so we'll see everyone over the next live stream tomorrow. We have Alicia Huxtable from the Western Bulldogs talking about their Sons of the West and Daughters of the West programs that are particularly relevant today in Melbourne because they're working with those hotspot areas right at the moment. Friday is eSport Friday. Lots of guests next week. Doing Sport Wednesday, next Wednesday. I'm Steve Pallas. Thank you very, very much for being part of our sports community.